Okay,
Well,
let's go.
yep, let's go. Well, hi, friends, and welcome to the first episode of The Story Seat, Women Worth Hearing. I transitioned from Try It Thursday. My heart wanted to share women's stories. And so this is our first episode, The Story Seat, Women Worth Hearing. And this has been on my heart for a couple of years now to create a space where everyday women can come and share the real, the raw, the redeeming stories that Yah has written in their lives. So these aren't polished highlight reels. They are testimonies, sacred stories of faith, failure, and faithfulness of Yah through it all. So today it is only fitting that we begin with a woman that I have known for decades, and she has been a steady friend, a spiritual sister, and someone that I deeply admire, Sonja Bratton. Now, Sonja is a farmer's wife of 37 years, a mama, a grandma, a prayer warrior, a woman who walks boldly in her calling. Her story is layered with pain, healing, surrender, joy, and it's a powerful reminder that no one is too far gone for Yah to redeem. And do we share how we actually met?
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up. Let's
And it
hear.
was, so you've been married to Jim for 7 years, and it was shortly after you had gotten married, or
Yes.
right? 37 years. Shortly. So that's how long we've known one another. And I actually did home lingerie parties. And Sonja was one of my funnest hostesses with the mostesses. We had lots of fun having the lingerie party. And just for all of you out there, they were tasteful lingerie parties, not naughty lingerie parties. Well, there
They
was a little
really,
naughtiness in there.
they really were. And what I liked about your lingerie is you
Yes.
had lingerie in tall because
Yes.
I am 5'12".
Yes, you are. I know. It's so fun when we get together because you're nice and tall and I'm really short. You're about eight inches taller than I am. So, but yes, and that was the beauty of it, is that we had wonderful sizes. And so you could be feminine and dress beautifully and not have everything way too short on you.
I think I bought a bunch of lingerie from you.
You did. You did. You know what? That was one of my funnest jobs, and actually did really. I love doing home parties. It was a lot of fun.
You
It
were
was a
good
lot of
at
fun.
it. You
Well,
were
and
really good at
I got to meet a lot of fun people. So, but
it. Was
anyway, so welcome to the story seat, and it's really special to have you as my first guest. So, let's
you.
start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to know the Most High.
Well, my parents, my dad was an alcoholic, and my stepmother was very unloving. And my dad was kind of the black sheep of the family. My family, outside of my immediate family, they were all Christians on both my real mom's side and my dad's side. They were all Seventh-day Adventists. And so that's the only church that I visited when I went to see my Aunt Lydia. Aunt Lydia was like she had been my foster mother, and she was also kind of like my grandmother that I spent all my holidays and summers with. So I got to go to camp and vacation Bible school and church. And so I learned about Jesus. And I loved the peace that I experienced when I was at her house and doing all those things. But I would come home and I just couldn't hang on to it. We had a heathen lifestyle, and
Yeah.
I just fell into it. But I think what I struggled with the most was not feeling love from my father or my stepmother or even my real mother. My birth mother left when I was 2, and so I dealt with rejection. My father, being the alcoholic that he was very violent. My parents fought almost every weekend, so I was also filled with a lot of fear. So I kind of went looking for love in all the wrong places. I always had to have a boyfriend. I I think that I felt like that's what defined me and made me feel special, because I didn't have anyone else. So I always wanted a boyfriend. And that eventually got me into hot water because I was kind of the good girl that fell for the bad boy who was a drug addict. And I started doing drugs and getting drunk and, became a part of that party life with my husband. I got married at 19. And yeah, that was a wild time. He was verbally, physically abusive to me, and I knew I had to get out of it because we had a little girl together. She was only 2, but I knew I needed to leave because of the violence. And so I did. And when I did, he started turning her against me right away. And so she really didn't have a chance because he was, saying a lot of lies to her and manipulating her. And, it's hard enough to have a mother-daughter relationship and then to have your ex-husband undermining you and, you know, saying things that were untrue. I mean, I really not grew up, I was already grown, but I really hated him a lot. And
Yep.
so I left him, and being the person that I was, going from boyfriend to boyfriend to boyfriend, wow, guess what? On the night I was celebrating my divorce, I met Farmer Jim. So I was single for like 2 hours.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that. And I remember so many stories about Aunt Lydia. Oh my gosh.
Aw,
So
bless
many.
her heart.
How old did she end up living to?
She lived to 106.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yes. Wow.
Vegetarian, no drinking, no smoking. I'm very strong Christian, and I believe I'm serving the Lord today because of her prayers, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, and what a testimony to living in caring for the temple.
Oh,
She cared for her
absolutely.
temple,
She had her own
and
garden into her 90s.
wow,
Mhm.
that is so incredible. So,
I
so
didn't even
incredible.
know that applesauce came in cans because Aunt Lydia's applesauce was in jars.
Right. Uh, and you know what? A blessing to have that, to grow up with that kind of, because
Yeah.
that's what I've started. And I mean, I had one of my stepdads, his mother, she had gardens and canned and made everything from scratch. But I mean,
Mhm.
I was only was from when I was 10 to 16, and of course pretty much from 10 to about 13, then I wasn't really much interested. I was more interested in chasing boys than hanging out in the kitchen with grandma. But, there's that little bit of information that I got from her then. But what a blessing it is for those who actually, that was a staple in their life, because it's not something we're having to relearn, because, we're really only 2 generations away from doing it the right, the old way, the way that was sustainable and healthy for us. So,
Yes, I mean, there's nothing better than homemade bread, you know, and
yes,
she can't she would I would get so upset with her as a teenager because she would make us work. She would
how dare she?
I know, I'm like, "I'm on summer vacation and you're gonna make me pick grapes and roll trays and box raisins and can all this fruit that we gleaned." I
Right.
mean, but she taught us how to work. She taught us how to bake, how to cook, how to sew. There was no TV. And so she also taught us that if you work, there's a reward, after we're done working, then you get to go swim in the ditch, or we get to go
Right.
to a secondhand store and pick out some clothes.
Ah, and it's so funny because that's pretty much my life now. And is work, reward.
Back to basic.
I do have a pool, not a ditch. There's no ditches up here in the mountains, but yeah, I mean, you've got a beautiful ditch right there at your house. The My goodness, you should. But yeah, what a beautiful legacy she's left. And like you said, you're where you are today because of her prayers.
I
And
really am.
yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so. Your testimony is just so powerful, and not just because of what you've come out of, but how Yah has met you and transformed your life. So can you talk a little bit about that journey of, okay, you left, you've got your daughter, you met Farmer Jim, and then
I
go,
met
go.
a I met a wonderful man who truly loves me, respects me, honors me. I know he was sent from God. I wasn't walking with the Lord, and neither was Jim, but God knew exactly what I wanted. And he's not a perfect man, but he's very perfect for me. And we've had some bumps in the road, but we have basically had a very good relationship because we're best friends.
Yeah.
But I will say that with those bumps in the road, if I didn't have the Lord, there may have been a time that I could have left because things did get pretty difficult. So we were married, and after 4 years of being married, I didn't feel happy. And I couldn't figure out what my problem was because I didn't have to work. Jim moved me out to the country from Clovis to Burl, population 125. Only Lanita knows where that's at.
Yes. Yeah, well, and that's because Rusty grew up out there. My husband grew up out there. Well,
Riverdale
he,
area.
he grew up down in Huntington Beach, but he would come up and spend summers with his grandma in Burl because
Oh, in Burl. Okay.
Nanny lived in Burl. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah, he would spend time in Burl.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness. So, yeah, so I've got this amazing man. I've got, the daughter I always wanted. I don't have to work. I'm living out in the country. We're doing good financially. I mean, what's my problem? I couldn't figure it out. And so I finally decided maybe need to go to college and get a name for myself. I need a title. I need to feel important, and so I kind of played around with that idea for a while. And then my girlfriend, Pam, invited me to a retreat at Hume Lake. And it
Yep.
was through People's Church. And I said, oh, I would love to go to this retreat because I grew up going to camp as a kid, Christian camps, and those are really special. So, yeah. So we're on our way up to Hume Lake, and all of a sudden it hits me. I'm like, uh-oh, what did I get myself into? I just want you guys to know that I'm happy. I was lying. I'm happy, so I'm not going to be doing any crying up there. And they're like, okay, so I get up there, and there's like, I don't know, 500 women, and they were so nice. Lanita's been there, so she
Yep.
knows you can't get
Several
in the
times.
cafeteria without a hug.
Yeah.
And I had just never been around that many wonderful, loving Christian women before in my life. And I said to Pam, I said, what is going on here? Like, are they trying to sell us something? Or are these just a bunch of Stepford wives? Because this is not normal.
Ah, ah.
And she said, they just love Jesus. And I was like, oh, okay.
I
Whatever,
love it.
whatever. And then I think that night the Lord got a hold of my heart and he started pounding on the door of my heart, and I knew that Holy Spirit was asking me to surrender, like completely give my heart, my life, everything to him. So I just said, okay, 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 I'm yours. Take me, have your way with me, do whatever you want. I surrender. I surrender all. And I've not ever been the same since. That was like 32 years ago. And I've been going to retreats ever since then and loving the Lord ever since then. I had learned in church about God, and I had learned about his son Jesus, but I knew nothing about the Holy Spirit. So when I felt the presence of the Holy Spirit, I felt love. And I felt his supernatural love for the first time in my life. And I knew right away, and that's why I started bawling like a baby. I knew right away that this is what I had been looking for my whole entire life. And I finally found it. And so, being the greedy person that I am, I told the Lord, I don't just want this experience or this presence of yours once a year at a retreat, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I don't want it just once a month. And I'm not sure I only want it once a week. I think I want this every day. I want to enter into your presence every single day because it became my new high. I stopped snorting coke. I stopped getting drunk. I started dressing more modestly, listening to Christian music. I stopped cussing, flipping people off, and being a Karen.
Oh.
My life did take a drastic change and probably scared Jim a little bit because he's a wine grape grower. So he was afraid I was going to stop drinking wine with him. And I said, I'll have a glass of wine with you, babe, but I don't want to get drunk anymore. I don't need to. I've got this new high, you know? And so then my daughter hit puberty and all heck broke loose. She was visiting her father in jail and she was suffering with depression. Her and I were not getting along because, like I said, he had turned her completely against me. And a lot of people out here in this Riverdale Burl country area, a lot of these women have stayed married and have families. And so they didn't really understand what I was going through. It was hard for them to, really relate to somebody who has gone through divorce and, having the struggles that I did. But I joined a Bible study group with the Riverdale women and they were my everything. They let me talk, and they prayed for me. And I don't know what I would have done without them. And I think probably all of them that were in the
I
group.
was gonna say that's right. It just I was like, Kathy was there. Kathy was in the group, and oh yes, Rusty's. I guess she would be cousin. We just called her Aunt Kathy, but I'm pretty sure she
Yeah.
was a cousin. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I remember.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what I would have done without them. They were the glue that helped me hold it all together because I wanted to kill my ex-husband, and instead we prayed for him. So I got to the point where I was in desperation, feeling hopeless because she had become suicidal and wanting to run away all the time, and my mind was filled with worry and fear and anger and all those emotions. And at the same time, God is he is there for me, but I'm learning how to develop a relationship with him. But I'm really just wanting more from him. And so I got this great idea to start reading the Bible through from Genesis to Revelation.
You know me, that's my big deal. It's like read the whole Bible, start at the
Right.
beginning. It's really important. You can't understand that
Life
God
changing.
life changing, literally life changing, because you can't understand the last quarter of the book or last third of the book if you haven't read the first two-thirds of the book. It's like walking into a movie
True.
when it's almost over. It's
It's
like
true.
you can't put anything into context. So, yay,
True.
yes.
Yes. So that's what I started doing. And the first year, I felt like the Old Testament was like eating cardboard.
Yes.
And then the
Yep.
second year, maybe it was a little bit interesting. Had to start really asking the Lord to help me understand and give me wisdom and knowledge. And by the third year, I really took like 5 years to read the Bible through in one year, every single year. And during that time, I fell like in love with the tabernacle. I became obsessed with it. And I had asked the Lord, um, let me back up just a little bit. At one of the retreats, Debbie Titus spoke, and she talked about having yada with the Lord, which I think in Greek means to come together as one with him. And so she told us to make a yada basket. So I call it a prayer basket. And so I was making these prayer baskets for people as wonderful gifts, but no, yes, but nobody knew what to do with them. And so I said to the Lord, I need a guide. I need directions. I need something to go by. And so in that, he answered my prayer. And with the tabernacle, started showing me how I can enter into his gates with thanksgiving and go to the altar and lay my garbage down. I had a lot of garbage, and then go to the wash basin and worship in the courtyard. And then you're ready to go into the holy place where there's the golden lampstand that illuminates the word for you. And you read the word, and then you go to the altar of incense and pray to God. And then you're ready to go into the Holy of Holies where God's presence is.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
And so I felt like he had given me the most precious gift in the world, because it was changing me. It was pruning me. It was um, finally starting to fill me with some, fruits of the spirit, because I really didn't have any of those at the beginning. And he had given me that wonderful verse from Matthew 6:6 that says to go into your room, into the secret place, and pray to your Father who is unseen. And
Yep.
when your Father sees what is done in secret, will reward you. So I created a secret place, my bedroom. My bed became God's lap, where I would just throw myself on it and cry like a baby. I had a lot of people to forgive, and I needed a lot of work.
You, did you
So
find that your ex-husband was one of the most difficult ones to forgive? Was
yes, and I
that
didn't like reading that verse about loving your enemy,
yes. Yeah.
and then also forgiving him.
Yep.
Um, and then if I don't, God's not going to forgive me. And I was like, ah,
I remember I was actually we were in a worship, we were at church in worship, and we're worshiping, and all of a sudden the Father says to me, you have to forgive Bob, my ex-husband. And I'm like,
yeah,
what? Wait,
right,
you know all that he did. So similar to you,
right,
physically, mentally, verbally, financially, horribly abusive, tried to, actually so much so that when I did get divorced, I ended up with full legal and physical custody of our son because he was that bad. But and I'm like, you know all that he's done. There's no way I can forgive him. And he's like, you have to. And I was
mm,
just like, well, okay, I'm going to be obedient and say, okay, but you're going to have to work all the rest out because I
yeah,
don't know. I don't even know how to do that, but I will
right.
be obedient and say, I will obey, but you're going to have to make it work and you're going to have to change my heart because I don't know how to make that all happen in there. I just don't. So,
That's almost exactly what happened to me also, Lenita. But he told me to go to Mark and apologize. And I'm like, wait a minute. My
me?
sin is about this big, and his sin is like this big.
Yeah.
And the Lord is like, well, I don't really have any measurements on sin.
I did actually end up asking my ex-husband for forgiveness for
Goodness.
the part that I played in all of it too. I'm going to
Right.
I'm going to pause for 1 second because I have to go grab something and I should have grabbed it beforehand, but
Okay.
just to show.
Aw, your prayer basket.
So to this day, I got my worship
Love
flags
it.
and I've got my covering and I've got all my versions and my
Oh, that's
pencils
so
and washi tape
pretty.
and the whole business. So
I love it.
yep. And you know what? I have to just, and I want you to share about the sanctuary prayer and the prayer baskets. But I have to share my testimony with that. I probably started. I can't remember exactly, but I remember when Tyler and our Brianna and our your oldest and my oldest are about the same. I think Tyler might be a year or two younger. And he joined the Marines, and his first day of boot camp was 9/11, and it was just like, we're going to war. And my son just signed a 5-year contract with the Marine Corps, and I fell apart. And I remember, and back it up. I remember, you hear all the time, spend time with the Lord, spend time with the Lord, spend time with the Lord. But you're like, how?
But he
Nobody
shows us how.
nobody teaches you how to enter in. And then when I got the sanctuary prayer and practiced it, and I remember, especially on 9/11 and those weeks after, when all the stuff was bombarding on the TV, and I can't see my son, I can't talk to him, can't anything. And spending that time, like you said, in the Father's lap, crying my eyes out, and not getting all emotional.
I know.
But it truly is what taught me how to enter into his presence, was the sanctuary prayer. Yeah. So it's, and that was decades ago. So because he actually is coming up on, well, that was 2020, it was 2001. So 24 years ago, he's actually a major now in the Army. He actually left the Marines and went into the Army, and he's a major and actually working towards becoming a corporal. Yes. No, colonel. Corporal's here. Colonel. Yeah, he's actually working towards becoming a colonel. He's career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Our babies, all
Our
grown
babies.
up.
I know. Same thing. Thinking about, just thinking about the little ones, because I remember when your son was born, and then Lacey. I think Lacey was born, but they're around the same age too. Now they've got babies, families, babies, and
It's crazy.
it's so beautiful. So, but I wanted to share my prayer basket, and I think this basket is my original from the very beginning. I think I got from you.
Oh
Yes,
my goodness.
I know. It was
I
very
was
well.
kind of wondering, it's so pretty. And I was like, did I pick that out?
I think you did. I think this was
Oh,
my original.
that
Yeah,
is really pretty. It's beautiful. It's a
yeah, very
perfect
sturdy.
size too.
It is very well made because it's lasted lots of years.
I
So,
love it. I love it.
so can you share more about that? How the sanctuary prayer changed your relationship with the Father, and just about the sanctuary prayer?
Well, you know what? It has kept me on fire for the Lord. Out of That is the most important thing. The sanctuary prayer has caused me to fall madly in love with the Lord and to keep my fire going. When I don't do the sanctuary prayer, and this isn't the only way to spend time with God.
Right.
This is a way that God showed me that worked in a phenomenal way. And then he told me to share it with everybody else, whoever is interested. And so that's what I do. That is the heart of my ministry. Because, like you said, everybody tells us to spend time with God, but nobody shows us how. And so, in doing the sanctuary prayer, um, you know, at the very end of it is a time of listening. And that's really hard for people to just listen. But those are the times that God has given me ideas and revelations and hugs, and his presence has just had me on the floor where I can't even move. But I can't go into the secret place. It takes about an hour. I can't go in the
Yeah.
secret place and come out the same person. And there were times that I went in downcast, depressed, sad, the end, thinking God's not going to show up today. This is it. I'm at the end, and I would just sit there and say, I'm not leaving my room until you lift my head and raise my hands. And he was faithful to show up every single time, still to this day. There's times where I feel his presence more than other times, but there's always another layer removed. Every day that I spend time with the Lord, another layer comes off so that more light can shine within me. And it helps to get me out of the flesh and into the spirit. One of my girlfriends made this for me so my family doesn't bother me. It says, "Don't bother me. I'm praying for you."
I love it. Well, and I
Because I'm a
remember
better wife and a better mother.
that's what I remember you saying. It's like my family knows that they leave me alone until I get this handled, because if I don't get this handled, then the rest you're not going to like what you get.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the coolest things, are you ready for me to share that part about my
Well,
husband? You want to wait?
actually, it doesn't matter. We can go any direction. So yeah, go ahead. I mean, we can jump around. We have a loose script, like I said. The next was going to be talking about um, your daughter's journey, Brianna's journey. But
Okay. Well, yes. So my daughter did struggle with drugs and alcohol, and she almost died. And so I took her into several rehabs, I basically went through about 25 years, I will call it, in the desert, learning to trust and obey. God used my daughter as pruning shears, but I went through many, many years having a daughter as an addict, and watching her struggle was extremely difficult. And my husband was not really on board with me. He just kind of wanted the problem out, you know? And so that's when him and I bumped heads and had problems. But the Lord did answer my prayer. She finally did get help after she ended up in jail for about 3 or 4 nights. And God met her there. And she has been clean and sober for over 10 years now. And she has 3 beautiful children that have blessed me enormously.
being a grandma is so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We still have some rocky times. We still have some struggles, but we've come a long, long way. And I see God moving in her life. I see that even though I wasn't the best mom, I gave her a godly foundation. And I noticed that anytime she gets in trouble, she always turns to God. She always, she knows her word. She's been to Bible college. She went to YWAM a couple of years. And so she's got all of that in her, and God has taken care of her and been there for her. And I am witnessing answered prayers that just has me in tears.
It's so beautiful. And the twins, they're also grown up now. Now, how
Yeah,
old are they? Because
they are 9.
they're okay. They're the same age as Kai,
Mhm.
so they're going to be turning 10 soon.
Yes, in August they're going to turn 10, and they love to come into the secret place with me, sit with me. They would like to worship with me and read the Bible with me. And I have even put together a little sanctuary prayer, condensed for children or for anybody else who wants to simplify it. Yes, and I need to get that on my website as well. This
Yeah,
is what
that's
the sanctuary prayer looks like now.
yep.
It has all the steps on it to take you from the courtyard to the holy place to the Holy of Holies. And this is something that I love to share. And then I also have the prayer basket list for people that want to put their prayer baskets together. I was selling them, but my husband chastised me for not making any money. And so now I just give them a list.
There you go. Well, that's yeah, because I remember in the very beginning when you started, it's like, oh, I have to have one of those. And I would buy them as gifts for people. They were beautiful gifts for
Best
people.
gift ever.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's like, well, they may not appreciate it, but maybe someday they will, because it has everything in there that they need.
Yes,
So
yes.
I remember giving one to my niece for her. She had a baby, and it was a gift for her because as a new mom, her first child, it's like, oh, here's a beautiful gift for you, because
It
that one
is.
had the teacup and all the things in it, the candle and the teacup and everything. So yeah, That's beautiful. So, so Brianne now I said, I'm trying to think, it was a few years ago we went out to lunch, but, and so she's doing great then. And I love hearing that.
Yeah, she is. She's doing a lot better.
That's
She's a great
fantastic.
mom. She's a great mom, yes.
That's
And
beautiful.
recently, the girl's baby daddy um, started. He got a Bible from Amazon, started reading it, and they're all going to church now.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yep, more answered prayers. There you go.
Yes.
I love how passionate you are. Now, you wanted to share something about Jim before, because I wanted to go into like the S.P.A sisters and stuff, but
Okay.
you wanted to share about Jim. So let's share about Jim first.
Yeah. So we were really struggling getting along because of Brianne. I wanted to get her into counseling, and I'm always trying to take care of her. My weakness is in enabling. And so that's something I had to work on. And so he was the more strict one, but sometimes he was too strict. And so we would, do this, and we actually almost, split up. So I would go into the secret place and I would write down in my journal, my husband's being a jerk. I can't stand him. I've had it. I'm out of here, blah, 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 blah. And then after an hour of being in God's presence, I'm like, ugh, I don't even deserve this man. But it was in the secret place doing the sanctuary prayer that the Lord spoke to me and told me to start treating my husband like a king. He's like, Sonja, if you want to be treated like a queen, you got to treat your husband like a king. And I said, what does that look like? And he said, well, if I were to come over to your house, what would you do? I said, oh, Lord, I would roll out the red carpet for you. I would cook your favorite meal. Just do anything and everything for you. I would serve you with everything within me. Well, that's what I want you to do for Jim. Ah!
Wow. I remember you sharing that, that the father told you that if,
Yes.
that you needed to treat him like a king. And you're speaking to me right now, because I'm going through, because the father's really working with me on how, how I treat my husband. And I've had to really unpeel a lot of layers of, I was raised by very strong dominant women, and he
Mhm,
was raised by a strong dominant woman as well.
mhm.
So he's used to having a strong dominant woman. So it's not really a problem to him, but we don't have the correct alignment of him, you know. And so, in fact, that's right now the father has ordered me to cover my head, and kind of like wearing tzitzits. We wear tzitzits. Well, in the Old Testament, we have the tassels on the four corners,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
and it's a reminder of because it was, he gave his commands, he gave his instructions, and then right after, there's a guy out, picking up sticks on the Sabbath, and he right after that, after had them stone him to make an example out of him, the next thing is, I want you to make tassels on and put them on the four corners, have a blue thread going through them, and it's kind of like wearing a wedding ring. It's a reminder of who we belong to and how we're supposed to behave. And so, what, and it really helped me out and about in public and stuff, where I might have been snippy or type thing. It's like, no, I belong to the Most High, and I am to be kind and generous and gentle and loving and stuff. That's great out there, but sometimes in the home of everyday stuff with the people you live with, it's not as easy. And
Right.
so this is just recent, the past couple of weeks. I'm having a hard time getting it, because 63 years of being a strong dominant woman, and he's like, you keep getting this wrong. He says, I want you to cover your head until you can get this right. And this is I need physical reminders. I'm a slow learner. I need physical reminders. And so, it's not a command. It's nothing that people have to do in writer. This is a reminder of who you belong to and how to behave. And I'm like, the questions and stuff. I was like, I remember her telling me that. God, come on to me, Father. I need to start treating my husband like a king. So, and I have in some ways, because like we have Shabbat dinner, Friday nights, and we have candlelights and, candles, and I make him a ribeye steak and his potato and all the things, and we have a glass of wine, and it's beautiful, but it needs to be more than just for Sabbath and Shabbat, because that's, I do that for the Father, but I also do it for my husband, but that needs to be all week. So thank you for sharing that, because it really is a beautiful nugget.
Of course. And yeah, there were several times where it takes the power of the Holy Spirit to do it, because I couldn't do it on my own. And there were times where he knew he didn't deserve that neck rub, when I really wanted to come up behind him and choke him. But yeah, the Lord has really helped me love him. And it's that I always think about the greatest commandments, which is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and to love others as yourself, or more. But I can't love others the way I'm supposed to unless I put God first.
Right.
I have to love him, prioritize him, allow him to love me and fill me up, so that I can do that with others, especially the people that I don't like.
Yeah.
And so that has been life-changing, and
Yeah.
something that I do share with a lot of women in women's ministries, because it is a struggle for most.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen the fruit, because I've been around for several decades now, and I've seen the fruit, because I remember you telling me that, and I've seen the fruit in your marriage. I've seen the beauty of it all. So that's
God gets all the credit.
right. And it's so funny, because this is my journal. It's like, teach me how to do this. It was never modeled for me, ever modeled for me how, and I've really, like I said, I've had to peel the layers back of, where does this come from? Why am I this way? Why can't I get this type thing? And it's like, you were raised with a very dominant mother, and dominant women, it's in your family, your DNA, you've been raised. And I had to even come to the thing of, you've been raised that men are beneath you. And then I even realized, the Father revealed it, that I made a vow with my first marriage, that I would never let a man rule over me.
Wow. So you had to
right?
undo.
Yes, I had to repent and undo, go repent from the vow that I made. And we're just this was just 2-3 weeks ago that he revealed this to me. It's like, oh, I made a vow. Oh my gosh, I need to handle that, And so we're in the cleaning up stage, and I'm still failing miserably every day, but working at it. And like I said, in my journal, it's like, easy. No, Father, show me how to do this. I don't know how. And so, yeah, I'm relying on him to show me how. So thank you, because this is just more confirmation that yes, I am where I'm supposed to be, learning what I'm supposed to be learning. And he is showing me. And this was just another little nugget to help, with that. So now let's pivot to spa sisters and what spa fit really means.
Well, before I did Spa Sisters because I just did that I started that 3 years ago, mostly for me, for accountability. Before that, I started remember when I used to do the blessing parties and prayer baskets?
Yes.
I used to do that, and then that went to spiritual makeover retreats at our beach
Right.
house in Cayucas. I've been doing those for 20 years, and those have been phenomenal, life-changing weekends. And
Yes, I have to say, since I've been to some, yes.
uh, you have. And yeah, so the Spa Sisters page is on Facebook and it's for anybody and everybody. And our main focus is helping each other to live a balanced life by getting spiritually, physically, and emotionally fit. So those are the three things that we focus on are what are ways to get spiritually fit? How are you? What are you doing? How are you doing it? We're all reading, not all, but a lot of us are reading the Bible together to get spiritually fit. And then we talk about getting physically fit. So we talk about diet and exercise and Sabbath rest on Saturday. Not
You know,
everybody does it on Saturday, but
no.
um,
You know what
I've
though?
been doing
This,
it for years now on the seventh day,
yeah.
and it's been a little life changing too.
The seventh day Sabbath is truly life changing. There is, as I was explaining that before I did, regular Christian Sunday church and everything, and it was always like, where's the breakthrough? Where's the promises? We're promised peace. The peace passes all understanding, and to not be tormented and protected and all this stuff. And I never, 40 years of being a Christian, never felt any of that. And I'm like, what's wrong? Why is this missing? And when we started observing Seventh Day Sabbath, Saturday Sabbath, or Friday night, to Saturday night, sundown to sundown, everything shifted in our entire world. Everything shifted. I mean,
Wow.
because and it even says in the word that it's a sign between he and us, like a wedding ring. It's a sign between us, or it's like, so the beast has his, the mark of the beast. Well, the Sabbath is actually our mark that he's
Mhm.
given us. And it's a sign that we belong to him and we walk in covenant with him. And it really is spiritually transformational. And it's done just a huge transformation in our home.
It's become my favorite day. And I noticed that in doing these retreats, these poor women are exhausted.
Yeah.
They don't know how to listen to the Lord. They don't know how to see themselves the way Jesus does. They don't know how to rest. And if they do practice the Sabbath, they don't know what to do or not
Right.
to do. So these are things that I share mostly at my spiritual makeover retreats.
Yeah.
And we also talk about getting emotionally fit. And that's basically just getting your mind off of yourself and serving others, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, what is it? He whose mind is stayed, I will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on me.
Mhm.
When we focus on him, love him with all our heart, mind, body, soul, and strength,
Right.
that's where the peace comes.
Right.
That's where the peace comes. So,
And that
yeah,
was my question at the beginning. It's like, God, I don't know how to keep this great commandment of loving you with all of my heart, all of my soul,
right,
strength, and mind.
right.
And he gave me something. He does a lot of Christianity 101 with me. And I like the way he keeps it simple. He reminded me of back when I was in high school and with my first love, I was obsessed with this guy. I was madly in love with him. It was actually my first husband. And I wrote his name all over my peachy folder. And all I wanted to do was talk about him, or be on the phone with him, or be in his presence. I was just obsessed with this guy. And God said, that's how you do it. I want you to be obsessed with me. Well,
Yeah,
how do I do that? Develop a personal relationship with him, and and that's when he gave me the sanctuary prayer. It's like, use this tabernacle analogy as a pattern for prayer. And it has just been incredible. And not just for me, for many, many people that
Yeah.
I've shared it with, it has been life changing.
Well, I never knew anything about the tabernacle until I learned it from you.
Oh, most people don't know about
No,
it.
because when you read through, you know, Exodus and Leviticus, and you're just like blah 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 blah, sockets, cords, acacia wood, blah 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 blah
Yeah,
blah blah blah
yeah,
blah blah.
boring.
Right? Okay, and it's also repetitive, and it's like, let's just, okay, where's the good stuff? Where's the interesting, blurb in the middle of all of that? And
Yeah.
now it's like Leviticus is one of my favorite books.
Is it really?
Oh my gosh, I love
Wow.
Numbers in Leviticus. I
Wow.
love Numbers in Leviticus. And I love the breakdown. Like right now we're in Numbers, and we're just breaking down like how all of the tribes camp
Mhm.
around the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the wilderness
The
tabernacle.
significance.
And yes, and how they transport it. So like when the cloud moves, that Reuben goes out first, I think, or Judah goes out, now I can't remember, but they go out, and then the Levites who carry the articles, they fall in, or they that carry the actual tabernacle, they fall in. Then if three more tribes go, then the Levites, the Kohathites, they follow with the articles, with the ark and all of that, and then three more, so they're sandwiched in between so that they can be protected. And it's so
Right.
beautiful. I love it. I love learning about the tabernacle. I love it.
This you can get off of Amazon, that gives you all the information on the tabernacle. It's by Rose Publishing. And this is very,
Go ahead.
very,
You keep sharing. I'm gonna go grab something.
yeah. So yeah, it's got the picture of the tabernacle in here that takes you, let's see. Oh, this is awesome. Takes you right here from the entrance into the courtyard, into the Holy of Holies. And then right here is God's glory on top of the mercy seat where the ark. Oh, I have that too.
Yeah,
That,
this
I
is,
have
and
that book also.
I think I got this because of you, and I love how it has the where are they? The clear the clear
Yes.
sheets that peel away.
Love, love
Yes.
that. It's the same people that did that book put these together.
I was gonna say, that's why I went and grabbed it, because I recognized the artwork and everything. Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing.
Fascinating. It's
Yes.
fascinating.
Well, and just, he doesn't do anything just for whatever, and everything has such beautiful meaning for the time and for the future. It's just, there's this beautiful timeless, and like learning about the menorah, and how, it's got beaten out of one piece,
Of
and then
gold.
it has all the others, and that they mirror, and so you've got the seven sticks, and they do the feasts. So you've got the three on the one side of the three spring feasts, then you've got Shavuot or Pentecost, which we just celebrated, then you've got the three fall feasts on the other side. And it's just, there's just so much that, and that it all points to the Messiah. It all points to Yeshua the Messiah. So yeah, it's so beautiful. So yeah, that's, like I said, Numbers and Leviticus are like my favorite, which back in the day it was just like, oh, okay, I can't wait to get through this and check it off my box to the next.
Right.
Let's get into something interesting, like where they're killing giants and stuff. Come on. So
But the more you read it, the more you get out of it, the more alive it becomes, and the more interesting it is.
well, that's why I love the Torah portions, because every year and what's so beautiful is everybody around the world that that follows this, there, Yeshua and his disciples himself read the Torah portions. When he got up and he took the scroll, he read that week's Torah portion. And so they did it a little differently. They had a 3-year cycle instead of a 1-year cycle, where now we have the 1-year cycle. But, and yes, every year we read it every portion of the week. It's beautiful because it's a digestible chunk every week. You can read it and you can digest it instead of just blah, 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 blah. You're like, oh, and each year he peels back another layer. And on how do I incorporate this into my life,
Right.
as being modern day as opposed to, ancient Hebrew. And
Right.
it's just, and the fact that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world all reading the same portion at the same time, I just think that has to bring him such joy and such honor that we're all a had, we're all one, we're all together on the same page
Unity.
in
That is
unity.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And so and that's what's called, well, I actually prayed, Father, because it was boring. And I was like, Father, give me a hunger and a thirst and a love and a passion for your word. And
Mm-hmm.
he has. And
Mm-hmm.
so much so that, I record it and I put it out on YouTube so that, and my prayer is that whoever listens to it, they themselves will develop that love, that passion, that hunger, and that thirst for it, because it's life-giving. It is our bread.
It is
It is
life.
our daily
Manna.
bread. Yes, that's our manna. It is our daily manna. Exactly.
I
So
need it every single day.
yep, exactly. So your retreats, you've got, and then the Spa Sisters, and I'll put the information if anybody on Facebook wants to, and so that's, for those of you out there who, that are listening, and especially if you're feeling desperate, stuck, unsure, what's one word of encouragement that you could give to that woman out there who's kind of just in a really bad place and needs to hear something from him?
There is hope. There is hope. There is joy waiting for you. There is love. God is faithful. He is so faithful. When we seek after Him, His face, His presence, His word, um, it's not in vain. It all comes, but we have to be patient. We have to be patient. And like I have been saying, revival starts in the secret place. If if you I mean, I was in a season for many, many years of desperation and fear and anger and just there's nothing worse than your child going through hell, you
Yeah.
know? And so to go in to have the secret place, to have this time with the Lord is a gift that everybody needs to take advantage of. And if you're a new Christian, don't even worry about it. Just start spending time, intimate time with God, develop that relationship. Everything else will fall into place.
Yes.
Everything else will fall into place. If you just focus on that one thing.
Yeah. Taking the time. He is a promise keeper. And I go back to a time where you and I were at Brianne's house. She was cutting my hair. And it was when I was in that desperate, horrible place when the kids, when we were going through the estrangement with all of our children. And I remember, and you were you were going through the middle of all of what you were going through. And I remember you had such a quiet, just a quiet peace about you. I was a mess. I was an absolute complete mess because I mean, my kids hate me. We can't see our grandkids. I don't know how to deal with this. I mean, Rusty and I literally contemplated suicide at that time. We actually talked about driving off of one of the cliffs up here
My gosh, Lenita.
because, I know I still get,
Oh my goodness
it's
gracious.
still emotional, but you live all these years, you raise
How
them,
bad it can get
and
though.
you look forward to the grandkids and seeing your adult children, and all of a sudden they hate you, they're spreading, they're saying awful things about you, and it's so confusing.
Experienced all of that too.
Yeah. And it was like Rusty and I were like, we have no reason to live. None.
Oh, Oh
but
my goodness.
but yeah,
But God.
and
But
he,
God.
yes, and he did such a beautiful thing through all of that in teaching us how to surrender and how to pray for our children, even though we wanted to wring their little necks at that time, and now full circle, we have a beautiful relationship with all of our children, their spouses, our grandchildren. We are so
Amazing.
incredibly blessed.
It's
I,
amazing. Thank
you
you,
know
Jesus.
and it's
Yeah.
his power that brings us through all of that.
Yes.
So, and you're
I
right.
would don't give up. And that
No.
is a perfect example of never giving up.
Yeah, there's
Because
hope.
there
He
is
is
hope.
he is a promise keeper,
There
and
is,
he will restore what the enemy steals. He
he will.
will restore it.
Mhm.
And yeah, and he's a promise keeper. So, is there a scripture that carries you through, a promise that has anchored your soul?
Mm.
So many, right? I know.
Yeah. You know, those two verses that I shared from Mark 12:30 and 31 about loving God with everything, and then the Matthew 6:6 about going to the secret place. Those are two of my favorite scriptures. And
Yeah,
then I find something to carry me through every single day. Every single
because
day
you're
when
in the word. Because you're
yes,
in the word every day.
I find my gold nugget verse. I write that down. I meditate on it. Sometimes I put on a little post-it note, put it wherever I'm going to be hanging out, try to memorize it. But those promises and his word, um, the manna, it's what carries me every single day. Every single day he speaks to me through his word and gives me hope. And so I hang on to something, no matter what it is. I mean,
Yeah,
it's there for us um, to 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 bless us,
yeah,
and to change our hearts and make us look more like Him.
yeah. Transform to
Yeah,
transform us. Well,
yeah.
and
All part
he's
of sanctification too.
yeah, yeah, yep, yeah. That fun pruning. Yeah. Well, and that it's interesting, and this is such perfect timing. The father had his hand all over this, because I've gone through, the last 8 years of, well, talking about rest and women not knowing how to rest. That was me. I was a doer, a goer, always go, 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 go. And then bam, he took me out. And he took me out, you know, by my body failing completely and me being bedridden and housebound for, several years, where I couldn't even leave the house, couldn't even drive to Fresno, couldn't even shower alone because I couldn't get out of the shower. I mean, there was one time I tried to take a shower when Rusty was at work, and I was done and I literally had to crawl from the shower into my bedroom, and I couldn't even get up on my bed. It was just, I had no strength or energy to do it. But in that time
God,
is where he taught me. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm realizing that I really did have not shared very little of my story because I was so in the middle of it. It was like, I can't even talk about it. It's just too
yeah,
much.
it's hard when you're in the middle of the
Yeah.
storm.
But now coming out of it all and just, but through that, I literally had to read books on how to rest because when
Mm,
he took me out and it's like, I have to do something and I can't. And I had to learn about how sacred rest is and how important it is to our whole being.
mhm.
And so, and
He
right now that,
created us. He created us to rest. He
yes,
created us to have that one special date with him once a week, to
yes,
worship him, to make it all about him.
yes,
And that is healing for us from head to toe. I
yeah,
compare it to a chiropractor. When I go just to see a chiropractor, he pops me into place and causes my body to align itself. And
love
that's
it.
what Sabbath rest does for me, is it aligns mind, body, spirit. And I need that every week.
What a beautiful analogy. Well, and so this is really because now that he's relaunched everything in my life, and I actually have to be honest, I'm kind of reeling because I've gone 8 years of living at a turtle's pace. In fact, I would joke and say, I used to be a rabbit, I used to be a hare, then I became a turtle because that's all I could do is be a turtle. And
Yeah.
I became okay with being a turtle. I embraced it as like, this may be the rest of my life. I hoped to get better one day, but I was also had peace that I may never. And this was where it was supposed to be. And I was good with that. And now that he has like, nope, we're getting busy again. It's like, whoa, wait. I'm like, oh, this is a lot for me. And one of the things that I'm really trying to implement, because I've not had a schedule for 8 years. I've not had any kind of schedule. It's like I would wake up when he woke me up and I would kind of just do what I was capable of doing. And that was it. And one of the things that I'm trying now is to like, because I am busy and I want to be efficient, is and my getting up in the morning, and so I'm going to pull out my sanctuary prayer and start, because I need that. Like I said, I need tangible, visible things to remind me, and so it's going to be very beneficial to sit down and go into the tabernacle, go into the secret place. I mean,
Yeah.
I do in the morning, but the whole listening part, the whole
That's
waiting and
that's
listening.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
So
key. I like to tell people to picture yourself on top of the Ark of the Covenant,
mm,
laying down on that mercy seat where you've got a cherubim at your head, a cherubim at your feet. You've got God's glory up above you, and then underneath is the mercy seat that you're laying on, and then in the ark is the commandments, God's
yes.
commandments, the Lord's manna, and Aaron's rod. Those three together represent the Trinity. The Aaron's rod represents the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And so you've got the Trinity down below. And so you are just surrounded by all of this supernatural awesomeness that you get to take with you every single day.
Mm, mm.
It's
Well,
glorious.
yes, yes. Well, I can't be more thrilled. And I just really want to thank you so much for helping me to kick off the new transformational new series with such honesty, depth, and love. What a gift it is to walk with women like you and to see what Yah has done in a life truly surrendered to Him. What a beautiful example. And
And
so,
so is yours. So is yours.
thank you, man. Thank you, man. It's,
Because I've seen the journey. I've seen the before, the during, and now the
yeah,
after. And
yeah,
this is a whole new Lanita, and this is beautiful.
yeah. You've definitely of anybody that, yeah, you've been around for all of it. Yes, you have. So, for all of you that are listening, if Sonia's story moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a sister who needs encouraging. And you can connect more with Sonia through her Facebook group, S.P.A Sisters, spiritually, physically, and emotionally fit together. And I'll put all of the links and stuff in the description. This is going on YouTube and Spotify. But I think you can. I'm not sure if I can put that in Spotify. It's got a very short little thing, but S.P.A Sisters on Facebook, they can find that easily. You can also visit sonjabratton.com, and I will have that link in there to learn more about her.
You can download these resources if you want to. And then you can also purchase my book, I think.
That's right.
There
Forgot
also.
about the book. Okay, share a little bit about the book. We don't have to stop yet. Let's hear the book, because I totally didn't even realize that you wrote a book until just
Well,
today.
I did not write this book. I only wrote a chapter. So I'm
Okay.
in chapter 4. This book is filled. This is called Once Upon a Time God Was Faithful. And this book was written by 20 women giving 20 testimonies. And I'm in chapter 4. My chapter is called Desperate for Love. And now you know why. But
Yeah.
my story is good, but gosh, the other stories in there are powerful, really
Wow.
powerful. So you can get this on Amazon also. You can also purchase it from me for $20. I will
Okay.
bring it to you autographed if you like, if anybody's interested. And then one more thing, Lanita, can I
Yes,
do one more
please.
thing?
Oh, yes. This is all about
So,
what he's
so
doing with you.
these
Yes.
these
Yes.
spiritual makeover retreats have been such a hit that I have a 2-year waiting list, and I have been wanting to reach more women because I can only house about, 8 to 10 at a time, and I only do 5 to 6 retreats a year. So God has put it on my heart to do a big spiritual makeover retreat. And I am hoping to do that next year in October 2026 for about 100 women. And so I'm very excited about that. I want everyone to know because they will get to come and experience a lot of the same things that we do at the small spiritual makeover retreat. And the cool thing about this retreat is that my best friend Christy will be along my side. We'll be working together, and she will teach on healing and deliverance. So I will start the day with teaching probably sanctuary prayer and all that. And then she will, in the evenings, help women with whatever they need, healing, deliverance, whatever. And so we work really well together. We're both really, really excited about it. And so I want everybody to know because I want everybody to come.
And I just saw that you just announced this. I mean, this is hot off the press because you
Yes.
just announced this on social media yesterday. So how
And we
very
might be coming
exciting.
to your area. Are you close to Oakhurst?
It's the other mountains. It's an hour away.
Okay.
It's not the same as Fresno. That's where
Okay.
it's where Lacey was living until the father
Okay.
moved her here
Yeah.
with
Oh,
all the
that's
grandbabies. I know.
that's
We get to spend.
perfect.
I know. We
So
just
I'm looking at Echo in Oakhurst to possibly do this retreat, but nothing is concrete right now. So
okay.
stay tuned.
How exciting. Yes, that will be wonderful. So, yes, we've got the spiritual makeover retreat coming in 2026. So and they can learn more about that. You'll get that all up on your website and everything so they can learn more
Yes,
about it
that'll be on
there.
my website. That'll be on the Spa Sisters page. Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Beautiful. Well,
Yay.
thank you
I
so,
welcome
so much.
everyone. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you
how
for
wonderful.
asking me, Lanita. What a
Oh,
privilege and honor.
like I said, it's has the Father's hand all over it because it just, I mean, literally, I had a cancellation, and it's summer. A lot of the women that I interview are moms of younger kids, and you remember when summer hit, everything kind of got thrown and got scattered and got crazy. And so people aren't able right now to, and I'm like, okay, well, I just won't do it this week. No big deal, whatever. And then you messaged me, and I'm like, perfect. Sonia, yes. And because I had already been praying about switching it from women entrepreneurs just to women's stories. And I'm like, Sonia's got the story. And so it's perfect. So the Father's just so good in his timing and everything. And
Yes,
right
yes.
as you're announcing about the spiritual retreat and everything. So it's so beautiful. So thank you. Well, this is just the beginning. So I can't wait to keep sharing more stories like this one. And so until next time, stay anchored in truth, walk in purpose, and take your place at the story seat because your story's worth hearing. Thank you. Let me see here. I gotta figure out how to not record, and I'm not good at this. There we go. Bam. Yes. Bam. Uh-oh. Move. Hold on. Yeah, this will be fun.